Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Shanaja Washington, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. And whoop, whoop, it is time for the show, y'all. HBCU Her Voice. I'm your amazing host, Shanaja Washington, streaming from the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. And y'all know my energy always big, but it's like extra big today because when I have a person who's representing a school that I have never ever talked to anybody from, I'm always a little extra. I told her that backstage. You know, we keep it all the way real here. But you know what? Today has also too been good in the city. Just shout out to everybody in the Houston area who have come out in support of our Houston Equity Fund. I typically don't drop a lot of information at the beginning, but today has been a beautiful day in our city. But without any further waiting time, let's get to the actual show. So what do we do here for the normal drill? They come to the stage, tells us their name, they're streaming from, which HBCU they're repping, and guess what? We get that story. And without any further waiting time, here's my very amazing guest for today.
Hey, y'all. My name is Lekisha Hammond. I am from the Fort Valley State University. I graduated from there back in 2015. I actually am originally from Swainsboro, Georgia, a very small city. We have like one main street where everything is. I actually have a lot of people that went to Fort Valley from Swainsboro, Georgia, and they pushed me to get out and go myself. And it was the best decision I ever made. I actually went there in 2011 once I graduated from high school, joined the band at Fort Valley State, matriculated through there. My major was visual and performing arts with a concentration in illustration. Went from there, graduated, went to Full Sail University from there, received 2 more master degrees, came back, taught as the youngest professor at the time at Fort Valley State University, and then went on and got into my career field. A little bit about my story. It was not easy, of course, but thankfully, going to Fort Valley actually prepped me for some of the trials that I would endure. During the time after I graduated, I went through a few health challenges that came out of nowhere, which definitely pushed me back. It got to the point that I wasn't even able to work, right? At the time, I was working at the print shop on campus. And then, of course, like I said, I went ahead and became one of the youngest professors on the campus. After that, my contract ended because I was an adjunct. I ended up getting sick, lost my job, couldn't work. And it was like a really dark period because we all know how it goes. Sometimes you don't necessarily get your dream job after you graduate with your degrees, no matter what it's like, right? Went through that. Thankfully, due to my circle, my friends, they was like, hey, you got talent. Because like I said, I'm an illustrator by nature. They're like, why don't you start a business? So I did as a sole prep, became an LLC. My first LLC was Anatomic Productions. Went from there. It was tough because the art field was changing at the time. It was more computerized, less of the hands-on approach. So, I endured those challenges. And then I went back through another period of being ill. So I had to put the business on the back burner for a while. This was tough for me because I'm a first generation business owner in my family. So I didn't have necessarily the guide and the tools I needed to know how to navigate those challenges. So I went back down with illness and injury. From there, my friend promoted me again. He pushed me. He was like, hey, don't give up on your dreams. Maybe you need to pivot your business. So instead of pivoting my business, I actually changed my business because during the time I was ill, I realized that the thing that was missing was like organization and tools that helped me take my time back and be able to, if I am ill, still have my business run for me effectively and efficiently. So I started Generational Wealth Enterprises back in 2021, for the sole reason of helping people achieve true wealth, which is not money. A lot of people think it's money. It's definitely not. It's your time, right? Time is precious and it's the most valuable thing you will ever have. So, with that business, I help people develop their business from the startup and matriculated from there. Once we got into the 2022 era, things started to change and automations came into play. I know a few of y'all might be familiar with Zapier. I learned Zapier a little bit, but then a platform named Go High Level came out and it took off. I learned it from A to Z, and that is now how I assist clients with being able to get their time back. So, in addition to design, I also do automations, business building, business strategy, and I also help out individuals who are in that level of entrepreneurship where they may not necessarily know where to go. I help them with business strategy. So, that is how I help individuals get their time back. I'm very passionate about it because I've been there in that seat to know what it's like when you don't have a team to depend on. You can't necessarily pay for a team to come in and help you with your business. Let the computer work for you. I'm telling you, it works. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here, and I'm very thankful for the journey because even though it was hard, I thank God that He kept me through it and He pushed me through it. And now I'm able to help other entrepreneurs and also educate those back at my university because I'm also a tennis coach and I also do the media for the Blue Machine Marching Band because, again, I march there as well in the band as a percussionist. So I go back and help out as well. So that's my passion, that's my goal, and that's a little bit about me.
Come on now, Fort Valley, okay? Going in here and representing and doing the thing, and she just cares. And y'all went back and got 2 more degrees. I was at the school. See, she was just doing a whole bunch of stuff, like Terry K say, a whole lot of. That's what Lekisha was doing. And I honor you in your journey. Thank you so much for sharing. But from the first segment, you said, time is wealth. And I was back here, you know, girl, I'll be back here when y'all on stage. I'll be back here cheering, doing my own vibe back here. And I'm like, that right there for me, Lekisha, for real, like in these days and time, that time and wealth is really what I put in the forefront because people will get so caught up on the dollar, on a dollar, on a dollar. But when I'm telling you, when you can own your time, you can have time freedom, it helps you look at this world completely different because life is going to always life.
Yes, for sure.
Like life is going to always life, but there is a certain vibe and a feel that you get when you can take that time back and then rededicate it more intentionally. So thank you for sharing there. I have a couple questions to ask you, but I'm gonna go here first. Okay. You said that I'm a first generation business owner. Ouch, me too, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing to, number one, make sure that you are getting knowledge to fuel your business? And the getting is just kind of like for now, but you have to have a futuristic mind track to continue to acquire knowledge because things continuously change in the business landscape. I want you to talk about the importance for you of getting that business knowledge. How are you doing that? And what are you doing to shore your business up for success?
So a lot of it is coming from conferences as well as my network. I know a lot of you have heard like your network is your net worth. That is very true. I try to surround myself with other individuals who are business owners that know a whole lot more than me because the landscape is constantly changing. In addition to that, doing research, I love research. I'm kind of a research geek, as you say. So I like to research the trends, see what's going on, how the landscape of business is changing, specifically for African American women, especially because it's a little bit more difficult sometimes for us in the business landscape. And again, like I said, you know, I'm a first generation business owner. I didn't have a blueprint to go by when I started this, but I had faith. And so I took that and I plugged that into my research and I take time out to research, like I said, you know, different trends, things that are changing, keeping up with the trends, and then also making sure I get in the room, you know, going to conferences, going and making sure I'm networking with other individuals. And that was hard for me because I'm an introvert, you know, by nature. So it was very difficult for me to just come out of that shell, but I knew it was something I had to do in order to build my net worth of my company and most of all myself, because knowledge is the top tier thing that you can ever have. So that's pretty much how I handle that.
I love it. And shout out to us introverts. I know people see me on the show and I probably have said this a couple of times. Girl, I'm really a true introvert, but I can do it here because it's so this and I can hear it coming here. I'm passionate about this cause. So I can have this moment and be bubbly and light. But girl, look, don't call me after this. No, I'm just playing.
Okay, great. I'm telling you for real. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and I need a breather real quick before
I
I
get the
explain this
energy back,
again.
huh? Yeah, I get it. So when I find us on this show, I'm like, I'm rooting for you. The fact that you even here today, I'm rooting
Thank
for
you,
you.
thank you, thank
I
you.
absolutely love it. Let's go here technical wise because you did mention Napier. Many people probably in our community may not be familiar with that. I want you to just give us a high level kind of overview of what Napier is. I know that it is a trending thing. I just went to like a Black and Tech conference, and it was definitely one of the things that was discussed. I want you to just briefly give us an overview of that so that our audience knows more about it. There could be someone where this piques their interest and they want to perhaps learn more.
Right. So I started with Zapier because at the time there wasn't a CRM that gave me everything that I needed for my business. Right. So I had a plethora of different software to run my business. I mean, like dishing out subscription after subscription, that becomes expensive after a while. But what Zapier does is you're able to take tasks that you do in your business and automate that. So let's just say, for instance, to keep it simple, like emails, right? Nobody wants to sit in front of the computer every day and send out emails to 150 people that you're trying to nurture to come into your program or to buy your product, right? Well, what Zapier does is give you the option to be able to create an automation to send out particular emails at certain times to the people that you're nurturing, right? So that's what I started with because, like I said, at the time there was no CRM. After that, Go High Level came into place, right? And that changed the game for everything. I was able to knock out all of my software and put everything in one hub. So now I do my automations out of there. I'm able to customize automations all the way from like email marketing, social media marketing to tasks that happen within my business that aligns with like my SOPs, day-to-day operations, all of that. The computer does that work for me. If you were to email me right now, I'm telling you, you're not going to hear me because I'm on here, right? My automations are going to kick in and they're going to respond to you and they're going to let me know what you said and then respond to you and let me know what I need to do next. It's that powerful. So again, taking your time back because I am not sitting in front of a computer all day doing that.
I hear you. It's interesting because let me just say important. A better word. It's important that we talk about and give our community those type of tools because many of them may not know where to find it. So like many things that even I do now, Lekisha, that I think is just like routine day to day. Sometimes I just take a diary of it because I'm like, so many people don't have insight into that. Like some of the things that you've done in terms of techniques to buy time back to do this. This is another reason why the platform was created is because of that knowledge share. It could be that one little thing or one little nugget that we give that shifts somebody else's, perspective, their day, whatever. So thank you for sharing that. I had not looked into Go Hollow at all. But from that, I kind of look into it because there's definitely some things that we're working and looking to streamline. So to have that insight, I really appreciate. I want to backtrack, Lekisha. I want to go to this period of probably darkness. This is a time when you've lost a job from the school, some health issues. You mentioned, look, these bills coming in. I don't know if I'm able to keep this car. I don't know if I'm able to do any of this, right? And I think sometimes people get into those states and deem it final.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
They deem it final because I can't see myself out of it. I don't know where the dollar is coming from. I don't know where the doctor's coming from. There's so many different levels of unknown. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit more about that period and where did you find, even if it was just a little bit, where did you find that glimmer of strength to kind of get through that and kind of bounce back, if you will?
So for me, I'm a huge believer in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for sure. And that pushed me along with the people that surrounded me. At that time, I have to be honest, like, I wasn't sure where to turn. I wasn't sure what to do next. I mean, imagine every night you looking out your window through the blinds, just trying to make sure that the tow truck's not coming to pick up your car. Like, because you have a dream and you see that dream right in front of you, but then reality is sitting right here in your face as well. So which one do you choose? And for me, it was difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel for a while. I worked jobs that I knew necessarily didn't align with what I wanted to do, but it was what I had to do. And one day I was working on bass and I had a client come through at the time, and I know this is gonna sound really funny, right? I worked for Sears and we were signing people up for like getting their air conditioning units checked or whatnot. Had to do what I had to do. It brought me out my shell because, like I said, I'm an introvert, and it was tough to deal with that. And a guy came in and he was like, "Hey, like, why are you here?" And I was like, "Well, this is what I do." He was like, "Nah, you don't look like you should be doing this, right?" And so I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You should not be here selling this for serious. Like, why don't you start your own business?" I was like, "I've done that before. It was profitable when I had Anatomic Productions, but it wasn't the best. It's not enough to sustain me." I was like, "I got bills to pay." And I know a lot of y'all can relate to that. Like, how many times have we said, "Oh, I got bills to pay. I can't do this and that at the same time." He was like, "You can do it. I'm not telling you to quit this right now, but you can do it." I tabled it, put it back in my head. I was like, because I'm in this space. I'm like, I gotta do what I gotta do. I can't do business right now. And so I went home, and about 2 weeks later, I got laid off. Like, what is this? So now I'm laid off. I'm back at home again. I'm like, God, I know you got more for me. Like, I trust you. You've shown me that I have success written over my life. What am I doing wrong? Like, what is this? And so I sat down and talked to a friend of mine one day, and he was telling me basically, his story about what he wanted to do and how he was having some trouble dealing with just day-to-day life, and I was like, let me come in and help you. He worked at Fort Valley at the time. And I was like, let me come in and help you streamline, some of these things that you're doing. Cause he was doing the marketing, he was managing the educators, he was doing all types of stuff. And so I came in, he brought me in and I did some work for him. And he was like, yeah, this is what I need. And so his boss actually saw my work and started contracting me to do certain things. I was like, okay, I like how this feels, getting a side check. I like that. But I need something more permanent. And so then we were talking one day. He was like, "Why don't you just promote yourself?" I was like, "Man, nobody's gonna deal with me in that retrospect." And so I talked to my brother about it. He was like, "Well, you gotta do what you gotta do. You ain't working right now. Why not?" And so I started promoting just Anatomic Productions, but as a contractor, and it worked for me. And so I was like, "Okay, I like this. It's not as much as I'm used to, but it gave me hope that I'm able to do this." So I was like, let me try a little bit harder. And so what I started to do was like push more on social media. It wasn't perfect. By far, I look back at my stuff now, I'm like, Lord, I thank you, because it was not it. But I was able to start promoting myself on social media and using that as a tool rather than just something to just have fun on and talk to family members. I started navigating and putting out exactly what I was doing. And then from there, it just took off with things and ideas that I was given by God. I know it was nobody but Him, to be able to help more people come up with different things. And it was some of everything. There was no linear path. It was some of everything dealing with business or daily life that people just needed help with. And I realized then I was like, God, you got me here to help people solve problems. And that was big for me.
Mm-hmm. And when that man told you what you're doing here, and you should start your own
Yeah.
business, that was him already giving you the clue. Because
Right.
sometimes, we be like, oh, we need a sign.
It is right there. And you're like, nah, this ain't it.
But look, I be saying, I be over here talking to people, but girl, you had your signs too. Before it had to get so bad for you, I had to look back and I'm pointing out everybody else's sign. They said, well, what was your sign? You sitting up here, you can point out everybody else's, so I had to go back myself. And girl, I had several, because my place of work had gotten so toxic toward the end before I finally left in 2021. And I remember we were having this training, and this was right before COVID hit, one of our last in-person trainings. And we got to the end of this thing, and this little lady don't know me from nowhere, gave us a training or whatever. And I was walking out, getting my backpack and stuff together because it was an end of day training. Because after this training paper, I'm going to this car. Don't ask
me. Going home.
So when she kind of tapped me, I'm thinking, what the woman want? What this? So she say, what you doing here? She asked me that. And I say, well, I work here. My badge still work. I'm hopefully still got a little job down Lekisha, because it's still working last time I checked. So if it ain't gonna work no more, then
let me know.
Work, Lord, please bless me in my responses sometime, because that wasn't it. But I say
that part.
So she's like, so she said, do they know what they have?
Ooh, that's heavy.
Mm.
That's heavy.
And even as heavy as we both here sitting here nodding, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, girl, got the little laptop and went on and stayed in toxic land for another 2 years after that almost, right? So
It's
he
like that.
feel these, little cues. And so if people are like recognizing, like, okay, this is something special in here. I don't know this girl from anywhere. I just came step on the scene to train her, but I'm seeing something. So when I think back, I was like, he was leading you out of there. You just had to get it in your own spirit and trust him to, actually take the steps. I want to go here because I think really in there, and I think somebody needs to hear this from you, because there was this thing of really kind of hiding your talents, even whether you were thinking that you were, maybe you didn't think that you were, but there was definitely, from what I picked up, a time where Lekisha didn't stand firm in those talents and say, this is what it is and do it. And so many women, especially us, they will do this. Girl, and I'll say this all the time, and I was just having a conversation with one of my friends, and she's on the fence. I want to start a business. She said, and she'll always do a comparison. She say, well, you'll just do this and you'll do. I say, first off, my journey is not your journey. It's number one. And the second part of it, I was like, I go to all kind of business events, from construction to marketing to communication. I'm pretty, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say there are people that I meet, and I tell her this. There are people that I meet that are far less qualified than you. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they name in the hat and they go for it. I say, so I will put my mouth on you before I do on them, right?
Exactly.
Because they are taking the steps and going scared. They are taking the steps and say, no, I may not have the big name degree. I don't have this. I don't have that, the third. But they're taking the steps and they are in the right rooms.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I had this conversation. I said, so you're going to have to do this thing about you and your talents to pull them out, and you're going to have to do the walk, because no matter how many times we sit around this phone and talk, you have to do that walk of standing in your talents.
Exactly.
I want you to maybe talk to someone who's on the fence, because I can harp and say it all day, but sometimes it takes a different voice. Maybe they identify with Lekisha's story better. Maybe they just say, I like Lekisha because they put hair fly. So I'm going to get it from her. I want you to talk about that in terms of hiding your talents and getting over that hump of doing that.
That was a difficult thing for me to do, right? A lot of times we feel more comfortable in the shadows because that's what we're used to, right? We may come from a place, and I know me personally, I came from a place where women weren't necessarily always out in the forefront, right? And so for me, it was always background duty. Let me handle what's in the background. You don't have to see me, but you'll see my work. That's not where we belong, right? And it took me years. Like, I'm just now figuring that out, that that's not my place, right? A lot of times we take the image of what we're used to from our childhood, and we imitate that in our lives going forward, right? You don't belong in the background, baby. It's things that people have that they need your help with, and they're waiting on you. Somebody said this to me one time, and it blew me. It was a friend of mine when I was at church, and they were like, "Hey, look, the more you're not putting what you have to offer out there, the more people that are hurting." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" It was like, "Their blood is on your hands." Like, what do you mean? Like, how does that affect me? But I sat back and I thought about it, and she was right, because every second we spend holding on to the purpose, holding on to the talents, holding on to the things that God has blessed us with, somebody else is suffering because they need that, and we're not providing that. So I had this conversation with my husband, now husband, he was my fiance at the time, and I told him the same thing. I was like, we're kind of all like doctors out here, right? We are solving a critical problem that somebody has, whether it's in their business, their personal life. If you work in a 9 to 5, baby, that's fine. If you are working a 9 to 5, maybe there are problems on your job that somebody's waiting for you to give the solution to solve that problem. But because we're so busy in the background feeling like that's where we belong, only because it's comfortable, because it's uncomfortable to be on the forefront, it leads to, you may fail publicly, things like that happen. But baby, I'm telling you, like, go forth. Somebody needs you. You have what somebody needs. And once I realized that, going forth in my business on this entrepreneurship journey to business owner, like, I realized that people really do need what you have to offer. And even though you may see something similar, it goes back to the bread aisle. Yeah, you go to the bread aisle, it's several types of bread. Some of them are exactly the same, but they resonate with you because what you have to offer and how you offer it. They resonate with your story, your journey. How did you get here? So come out the shadows. I'm telling you, that's how I was able to come out the shadows. For me, it was a very, very pivotal moment, and it hurt because my job is to help people. And with that being said to me that I'm holding back and hurting people, I knew then I was like, I got to step out. And it wasn't easy. It took time. It took just trying and seeing how it's going to go. But you have to show up, and you have to show up for you, because when you show up for you, you're also showing up for others.
Yeah, and I think that ouch moment and saying, you could have things in you that can potentially not only help people but heal people. Yeah, that's a thing that you don't really want to walk with. And I say all the time, Lekisha, I said, my whole mission is that when I leave this place, Shanasia will leave empty, right? So that means that every morning, what Shanasia says she has to do, she's gonna push to the finish and get it done.
That's right.
Ours the last
That's right.
The 4 o'clock is the last moment. I've done everything I could in my power, Lekisha, to put forth the mission to do it in whatever time that he deems me in this space.
That's
right.
Yes.
So that is definitely the key in emotion. So I'm so happy that you shared that, and what she said too, that kind of goes back to that bread aisle. Lekisha could have been having a similar conversation with somebody else, right? And it wouldn't even flow like this. You have to understand that you have to allow people to flow in their gifts, and when they come together, don't make me start running around this desk now. I do have
I'm telling you, it's true though. It's so true. It's so true.
And I told people, I said, this podcast, we were able to come and pull these women together, but we're able to have real life conversations. We're able to sit down and just do it in a way that it feels natural. And that's why this platform matters so much to me. And to see people like Lekisha saying, look, I went through all these things, and here I am still walking it out, still trying to figure it out, but I'm showing up every day, right? That's the thing about it. Okay, Lekisha, I want to give you this moment. I need you to sell Fort Valley, right? I tell these people, these y'all schools, it's people that because they put the camera on me, I'm going to sell mine, which is the Houston in Austin, Texas. So this is your moment, Lekisha, to sell Fort Valley. Is somebody on the fence right now thinking, should I go to Fort Valley? You got to tell them why.
Listen, okay, Fort Valley for me was pivotal. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be right here right now if it wasn't for the Fort Valley State University. Why? Well, first of all, we're the #1 HBCU in the state of Georgia. So let's start there. But aside from that, it's a community-built institution. It's not like you're just going to school and becoming another number. And I almost did that. And I'm not knocking going to a bigger school, but I'm telling you, when you can sit down with your teacher after hours one-on-one and you don't have to schedule 15 appointments to get to them, when you're able to go to them right after class and ask for help if you need it, when they're able to help you in your personal life, you may need gas, you may need somebody to just sit and talk to, you may need somebody to help you with meals, because life is hard in college. But I'm telling you, that's what your teachers, your professors, the staff, the administration is there for. They're there to help you. And one thing about Fort Valley, they believe in making sure that you get your degree. They're going to do all that they can to make sure that you stay in school, that you're active in school. And even if you have to take a break, that you come back to school and finish what you started. So I'm telling you, Fort Valley, if it wasn't for them, I would not be here right now. Going through the journey of college there taught me who I was as an African-American woman. It taught me the strength that we have in numbers. It taught me that I can do anything I put my mind to, because I go through trials in college and I was still able to make it out with my degree. So I learned then that I'm able to do that. It taught me how to get up for work every day, because my first job was at Fort Valley while I was a student. I worked at the print shop. They make sure that you are holistically cared for. You're going to matriculate through college, not just to get a degree, but to become a better person and become the person you're supposed to be to carry out your purpose. So I'm telling you, get out that fence, apply, and get to Fort Valley.
Oh, yes. And I love the fact that they took care of you in those walls. At the time, we're gonna make a position for you, or not make one, but allow you to operate in the position. And that was a story on my campus as well. They helped many of us because, as you said, sometimes finances were not there. and all that. So just making sure that we had some opportunities to, of course, to bring in some financial support. I too worked I had a work study opportunity, I think, in accounts payable at the time I was there. So I resonated. I worked on so yeah, I love it. So I'm sitting back there like, she's straight facts, but these are the communities that are built at our schools. So I'm happy to hear that was happening on your campus as well. Now, Lekisha, you cannot leave this place without telling us how to connect with you, where to find you, where we look for your content, because we want to have that so our viewers and listeners of the podcast can have that for their diary.
All right, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Lekisha Young, Facebook, Lekisha Hammond. You can also find my business pages, Generational Wealth Enterprises. I'm also on YouTube, Generational Wealth Network, and I'm also on TikTok, Lekisha Hammond. So make sure you look for me. I love to connect with you. I love for you to come pop in and see my content. I keep stuff going all the time, whether it's about regular life, motivation, or business. I'm there to help you.
There you have it. Now, this is the part of the show, Lekisha, where we cue to you for final thoughts. I tell my guests, I don't care if they see nothing but this part. We want you to give us some final parting words to this space and give us something that really captures the essence of Lekisha Hammond. So I'm cueing over you for final thoughts.
Listen, if you have a dream, you have a goal set, go for it. And I understand that life happens. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been there, but go for the goal and make sure that your goals align with your purpose. You don't have to do what everybody else is out here doing. You have a journey and purpose set directly, only and specifically for you. So make sure you do what's necessary to achieve those goals, that purpose. Don't let life knock you down because you have purpose all over your life, and make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Get your time back, sis. I'm telling you. Like, don't sit up here and pay all this money for all these subscriptions and things. Align yourself with things that's going to help your business grow. And know that even when you may hit a stumble or a bump in the road, that is just a moment in time. You still got the rest of your life to get it right. So I'm telling you, get out the fence, go for it. Don't let nothing stop you, because you, my friend, are unstoppable.
I love it. And the key tag, she said, get your time back, sis.
Yes.
And that's what, I mean, it's a thing, right? Get your time back, and you have to sometimes sit down and do hard work sometimes and figure out where the time is going and all of that. You know what? We said final thoughts, because I was about to queue up again for a whole nother segment. I'm telling you, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing today. I'm so happy that you said yes and you came to this space to share your energy, your story. We do not take it lightly here. To everyone who's out here listening to HBCU Her Voice Land, I never leave this place, so I'll tell you that I love you. And transformative things happen when you let your voice shine. And really, until next time, I'll be back with another amazing guest on the HBCU Her Voice podcast. But until next time, we are out.
Yeah.